We are once again live down here in the Bear Cave Studios for another episode of the Sports Frenzy Podcast, Sold Out. With me, your host, Freddie Aloso, with my co host, the Devil's Advocate.
So today in wrestling, in 2002, yeah,
Yeah.
LA Knight debuts. Yeah.
Nice. All right. And it's only a three-man show tonight. T's and P's to the encyclopedia. Feel better, bro. But the good Reverend himself, Jason Todd.
Yeah, and just a little bit more history there for you. I guess it's apt to say happy birthday. Happy birthday to the Big Gold Belt, which was debuted at NWA Battle of the Belts 2 today in 1986.
Damn. It's quite the time there.
Oh, yeah.
That was a big deal because that NWA belt was synonymous with like being one of the oldest championships and one of the greatest championships held by Jack Briscoe and Harley Race and Dusty Rhodes. And when they lost their NWA ownership, they lost that belt. You know, when WCW and the NWA split, and you know the big gold belt is still around. That NWA belt is also still around. I think they're using some kind of version of it with the latest NWA.
They are.
But that NWA belt was always one of my favorites. If I was going to get another replica, it would be that one.
All right, so tonight we have a watch along, but before we get into that, the Devil's Advocate, what do you got for us tonight?
Well, I noticed they announced some matches for AEW Revolution. So I want to run down the card with you, and I want to get your excitement level. What do you think so far? And if you have any thoughts about any other matches that might appear on the show. So we have last night on Dynamite, they announced Takasha versus Ospreay in a battle of Don Callis members, which I don't know. It looks like it's gonna be a great match. I'm just curious to see, is Ospreay coming in at, is that going to be the end of the Don Callis family, his relationship with them or not? So just out of pure curiosity, I think, and it's a matchup we haven't seen. Of course, we have Sting and Darby versus the Young Bucks. And I have to say, the Young Bucks are such dicks, and they're doing such a good job. They are such natural heels. While I'm not looking forward to the match per se, I am liking what they're doing up to this point because they're just leaning into their natural instincts. We have the AEW Continental Crown Championship match. We have Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson. We have Timeless Toni Storm versus Deonna Purrazzo for the Women's Championship. We have Orange Cassidy versus Roderick Strong, which has been building up for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. So we're finally going to get a match between the two of them.
Right.
And then lastly, we have our World Championship match, Samoa Joe versus Hangman Page versus Swerve Strickland. So I will throw it out to the good Reverend. What's your excitement level this up so far?
Not overly excited. However, look, I'm getting Swerve Strickland and Samoa Joe in the main event at the same time, so I'm happy about that. And I'm actually surprised at how much I'm looking forward to Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong. Because, like you mentioned, that build-up's been going on forever. And I actually liked that match from this week's Dynamite, which was pretty much that last, set up for it. And I felt like they did some things you don't usually see in terms of using factions, running interference, and then thwarting interference, and watching Trent Beretta take the bullet for Orange Cassidy. I enjoyed that spot. I didn't expect to see it happen, so I enjoyed that. I mean, I guess, yeah, I'm in middle of the road. Looking forward to it. Most of these matches seem like they're going to be really good, and I don't think I ever question whether or not there's going to be equality. Takeshita and Osprey. That'd be a cool match. It just came out of nowhere, but okay, whatever. They're fighting. I'm not gonna just turn away. The only match I'm surprised about, and I think we talked about it the other week, was Purrazzo getting this title match so quickly, where she's only had a few matches in the company at all. I would have liked to seen her get built up more. Like, I get they have the story with the two of them, her and Storm, but I'm kind of iffy on there. But yeah, it should be an entertaining show. It usually is.
All right,
So
take
for
it, Alyssa. What do you got?
For me, I'm at like a 5 right now for this card. I'm interested in the main event. I'm intrigued by it. I feel like the guys in that match should be able to go and make it worthwhile. Orange Cassidy and Strong. Okay. Bucks and Sting and Darby. That's how I feel about it. We all know Sting and Darby gonna win. Like, it's not. Spoiler alert, guys.
This is his last match. I forgot about that. That's how middle of the road I am on that match. Is that I forgot about it, and it's Sting's last match.
Yeah. Allegedly, yes. Quote unquote. Kingston and Danielson, I feel like that could be a really good, hard-hitting, strong style match, which between that and the main event, I'm most excited for. But other than that, Purrazzo, is it me, or has she come in looking sloppy and she was supposed to be one of the saviors of this division coming in?
Sloppy is an interesting word.
I don't know if it's as much sloppy as it's who she's wrestling.
That's a fair assessment.
I mean, I think she's been. I disagree with you guys. I'm more at a 7 at this point, because I think this is, for AEW, this is the most build they've ever done. Like, every match except for the Osprey match has a history. Mm-hmm. They've actually set things up. They've put things in motion. These have been like Kingston and Danielson has been going on for a while.
Right.
I mean, it's been going on from longer than the company.
Right. And they're finally pushing it. And Paige and Strickland have been going at it for months. So, throw in a world championship match. And Storm and Purrazzo have a long history. And I think they've tapped into that. I mean, if you think about it, they've kind of just let those two run with it, and they've done well. I mean, their interviews are interesting, and there's history. Who else at this point would you put in against Toni Storm? She's beaten a lot of the other women.
Right.
So, and then, look, Sting and Darby, I give Sting a pass because it's his last match. And if the Young Bucks want to get their asses whipped, let them. Now, what I would like to see in that match, I would like to see Sting and Darby win, and Sting lay the tag team belt in the middle of the ring and leave. Sting and Darby immediately give up the titles and put them down, and let's get a tag team title tournament going. That would, to me, would be the right way to do it, right? Win, accept your congratulations, all that stuff, and then step away. The other match I think they're going to add, which they haven't done yet, is the Combat Club versus FTR.
Yeah, they did tease that.
Oh yeah.
So that's coming, I think. And if I'm
hell of a beating,
I think we need one more women's match, and I think they shouldn't add any more. They should put
TBS
FTR.
Title?
No, because the big match is Adam Copeland, and they just knocked him out. So I think AEW's got to remember less is more.
No, for the women's, the TBS one.
Oh yeah, Julia Hart is hurt.
Is she?
Yes, there was a report on 411 today saying that Tony Khan had mentioned that she's not badly injured, but injured enough that she can't wrestle right now. So to me, get another ladies match on this show. Have FTR and the Combat Club go, and don't add anything else. So you don't need any more than that. Because this would be a tight show. the way it is. If you start ballooning it up and adding 5 and 6 more matches, you're gonna lose me. I'm gonna end up jumping in somewhere towards the middle rather than at the beginning, because I don't want to see preliminary matches. I want to see, start right off the bat with something good. Keep it to 6. Keep it to like 8 matches. No more than 8 matches. So right now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 2 more.
Throw in 2 little fillers along the way.
2 more matches. That's it. Don't do any more. You don't need 10. We don't need 12. We don't need this to be a 5-hour show. 3 hours is
echo
tight.
That. I want to echo what you just said about filler matches too, because that's what helps pace a show. If you're gonna have some, like Danielson Kingston, that's an emotional match, no matter what. You need something between that and whatever else other big match you're gonna have, because that's going to be towards the end of the show. Most likely, those are going to be towards the end of the show. Hey, let me ask you a question. We were talking about the setup for the triple threat, right? Or the 3-way match. And I got to tell you, the promo from Wednesday maybe sold me on that match more than the setup did itself. I mean, although I'm screaming, for the first time in a long time, I was screaming at my TV wondering why anybody didn't just mention a Hangman that, oh, you failed too, so what are you doing in this match? But be that as it may, I like the idea of him just existing to ruin Swerve's spotlight. And I don't know when they pulled off that switch, because everything he said in there was right about Swerve. But I was like, yeah, he has a reason to be mad at him. And I thought Joe having the last word at it, I was like, yeah, I want to see him with both of them.
They all think they're right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what makes this compelling, is they all think they're right. Right? Hangman thinks he should be in it, and Swerve shouldn't because he didn't beat me. But that logically, that doesn't make sense. Right? He's taking it literally. Well, you didn't beat me, so I should be number 1 contender. And Swerve's like, well, I never lost number 1 contender. I beat you twice. And Samoa Joe's like, I don't care. I'm going to kick both your asses. So, I mean,
and
they're doing a really good job with it. That I will give them. They've gotten this one right, which is something they haven't done in a long time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Samoa Joe, he's the most believable guy since Ron Simmons.
Right?
When he says he's going to whoop somebody's ass, you just believe it.
You feel like it's going to happen, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Joe would be the kind of guy, like you're in a bar and he's like, I'm going to kick your ass. You're like, okay, yeah, he will. Yeah, I'm getting my ass kicked right now.
The next drink's on me. Next one.
Please don't hurt me, sir.
Right. Can I talk you out of it? No, I didn't think so. All right.
No.
I'll call the hospital now.
Not bad.
All right. So, I mean, we'll see. It's got a good build. Now let's see if they can deliver. And of course, we will make our picks when necessary. But for right now, I like what I'm seeing. All right. So the other story I wanted to bring up is kind of an odd one. Are you guys familiar with Billy Jack Haynes?
I've heard the name
because his name came up.
Right. The name from the past.
I'm not familiar with the character.
Former Florida heavyweight champion, big in the Pacific Northwest, wrestled as Billy Jack, and then when his father, to pay tribute to his father, he changed his name and used his original name. In recent years, has become more famous for his outlandish shoot interviews. If you ever want to see someone go off the rails, go on to YouTube and type in Billy Jack Haynes shoot interviews. The man has interesting views on Vince McMahon, the world in general. Some have called him unhinged, bizarre, and why his name has come up now. And if you look at the picture of him now, he looks, I don't know how to describe what he looks like. He's got long blonde hair and a very dark beard. He looks like almost like Barbie with a beard. And he has been arrested on suspicion of murdering his wife.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That'll get you in the news real quick.
Yeah. It's he wrestled in WWE for a while. He was known to fight with Hercules, and he had a feud. But I think he got in some kind of altercation or some kind of issue with someone in WWE or WWF at the time and left. Like I said, his reputation is it's like I said, just take a minute and go to YouTube and look up some of his interviews and some of his theories on life and he's a big conspiracy guy. It's just a shame. The story has alluded to that he's needed some kind of assistance in the past and he hasn't gotten it. So it's just overall a shame, whatever his poor wife, if he is guilty, let's hope he gets what he deserves. And if he needs mental assistance, let's hope he gets it.
Without context, I'd say, yeah, he looks like he did that shit. But with context, there's some stuff behind this. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was part of that concussion lawsuit against WWE. Now, this is one that got dismissed, not settled, but dismissed. And I think there's been stories that he was one of those people who really had some issues. And then there's another story that I think his wife was suffering from dementia.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're familiar with what dementia can do to a person and the person taking care of them, it seems like very possible that somebody could have been pushed to their limit and not have. And I don't know, but it seems kind of possible based on that, on some of the stuff you mentioned also, that he comes off as a little unhinged from time to time.
Yeah. Not good. Yes, he was part of the lawsuit. This not a good story all around. Let's hope things. I don't know what to hope for. Just a sad story. So, God rest her soul, and let's hope the police can sort this out. On that note, let's move on to something a little happier. Tonight we are going to, in tribute of Elimination Chamber, we're going to watch an Elimination Chamber match, and we picked the Elimination Chamber 2019. I don't know why, we just did. We were going to watch Royal Rumble 95 again, but that was voted down. So let's talk about the combatants. So in our main event, we have Daniel Bryan, who was in the middle of his, what's that phase where he had the green belt? He was doing like the, trying to save the environment, the eco stuff.
Yeah.
I think he was also going by the new Daniel Bryan.
Yes, the new Daniel Bryan, correct. AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy. Mustafa Ali was supposed to be in the match, but he got injured, so he was replaced by Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, and Samoa Joe. Randy Orton got to be the last man in the ring because he won a match. He won I think there was a six-man match, and he pinned, I forget who he pinned at this point. I'm trying to look for it right now. I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, here it is. He pinned Kofi, I think. Well, it says he won a gauntlet match, making the last entrant. So he was the last man in. So we're going to go ahead and give you guys 30 seconds to get on to the Peacock site and go through all the inane commercials. And we are going to start off it's season 9 at 2 hours, 28 minutes, and 47 seconds. So we figured you don't want to watch every entrance. So we'll kind of start it close to the beginning of the match. So the good Reverend, are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Freddie Loso, are we ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. On the count, 3, 2, 1, go. We'll hit play. 3, 2, 1, play.
I think we just made mention of this man being one of the most believable ass kickers as a character in wrestling. Isn't this a very memed or like a favorite clip on YouTube of him maybe a couple of weeks just before this match coming out to the ring and running everybody down? I think it was Samoa Joe, and he said something like to the effect to Jeff Hardy of, he said, "Why don't you act like you're in one of your support meetings and sit down while the rest of us are sharing?"
Hilarious. They dropped the ball with him so much in WWE.
Amen, brother.
He's the favorite almost.
Amen.
He's my favorite almost.
He was in the wrong era. He was in the Vince era. I feel like if he was there now, shit, Sky would be the limit with Triple H.
What I don't
I
get
do
is
feel like his injuries played into this too, though.
a
But
part.
even then,
But I mean, he had a banger of a match with Brock Lesnar
mhm,
and no rematch.
none. He's the only human being to ever say "Great Balls of Fire" and not make it sound like a joke. Like he
Right.
said it in a serious promo.
I mean, for anybody deserved a rematch, it would have been him. And they could have
Yeah.
put in like a stipulation, like a submission match, or like they could have done something cool. And when he finally lost to Brock, I was like, oh, they're gonna line this shit up again because this match was great. They went right on to the next challenger.
It was the perfect thing to do. Run it back with Brock.
Right?
Yep.
Yep.
Some kind
You
of
could have had the
stipulation
whole
match.
summer.
Some kind of
could have had the
stipulation
whole
match,
summer.
right? Brock Lee beat me in a straight match, but can you beat me in a submission match?
Right.
I'm going to tap you out.
It wrote
No one's
itself.
ever made Brock Lesnar tap out. I'm going to make Brock Lesnar tap out.
It wrote itself, and they
Yeah,
dropped
it was. I mean, this is a no-brainer.
Yep. They really messed that one up. So
What do you
as
guys think of this version of
The belt is almost as bad as MJF's belt.
man, that belt is. I'm sure it made it easier for him to go through the airports.
True?
You know, it's a lot lighter.
I'm sure he was worried no one was ever going to try and steal it.
100%. 100.
Do we know how it sold? On
I have no idea.
WWE.com? I'm
I
curious.
didn't think they had it on WWE.com.
I've never seen anybody with it on any TV show or.
Yeah, I think that was a one of one.
Okay. The
Yeah,
evergreen compostable title.
Right.
It's biodegradable. You wear it too long, it disintegrates.
Right. It just falls apart. So as he's making his way in, I think of Sammy Guevara breaking Jeff Hardy's nose. On
Is that
Dynamite.
what the end result was?
Yeah, that was the end result. A broken nose and a concussion.
Wow.
You know, Sammy Guevara has hurt a lot of people, but does not have a reputation as being careless.
Yeah.
Right? No one ever, when you say like whose name comes up first? Nia Jax.
Nia Jax, yep.
And he's
Right.
taken out more people than she has.
And then, I can't even think anybody else.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Seth Rollins, they would say, was careless.
Mhm.
Right? And now we have him, and yet nothing happens to him.
It pisses me off so much. Like, they praise this dude. Oh, he's one of the 4 pillars and blah, blah, and all this bullshit. And he lacks self-awareness in the ring. His promos are What has he done since he was with Jericho in that faction with Santana and Ortiz and Jack Swagger,
What's his name?
Jack Hager? Jack Hager? But
Jeff
Jack
Jeff-
Swagger.
Jeff Swagger.
just Swagger. I don't know. Is it French? I don't know how the correct pronunciation on that one is.
Swagger.
Swagger. But yeah,
Swagger.
the dude, I don't get his appeal to everyone, and the way people like praise him up and build him up. I'm like, this dude, in my opinion, he fucking sucks. He's with the dime piece, cool, but what does that get you? Nothing. Like, you injured Cody. Now, Jeff Hardy. Like, who else are you gonna injure?
Well, there's been more too. I'm kind of remember. If
Yeah.
you would have brought this up earlier, I would have done some research. But I don't off the top of my head, I can't think anybody else. But I know he's hurt.
Yeah, it's been quite a few guys.
Did he hurt Matt Hardy? Remember when
think
Matt Hardy got hurt?
Oh,
and
throwing
Tony
the
Khan
chair at him.
and Tony Khan got all the criticism because they didn't. Matt Hardy said he didn't have a concussion, but they thought, was that Sammy Guevara?
Mhm.
That might have been. Was that when he threw the chair at his face or something?
No,
I feel like I
no,
just
when he-
watched that clip.
It was in one of the pay-per-views when he fell or something like that. Remember when Matt Hardy got hurt
Oh yeah.
and Tony Khan,
Off
they were
the
criticizing
stage.
Tony Khan for not having protocols. I can't remember if that was with Sammy or not.
Yeah, didn't he hurt somebody in the stadium brawl as well?
I
I
think
thought
so.
he got hurt in the brawl.
I know
'Cause
he's
that's
hurt.
the other thing.
He's hurt somebody else. I know he has. I just can't think of it off the top of my head.
And then you get the reports coming out from the AEW locker room that there's heat on Edge because he's rubbing people the wrong way. The entitlement of this fucking locker room is ridiculous. Like, these guys think they're the shit. And you guys just came off the indies. Like,
Did you see QT
It's-
Marshall is back?
yeah, as a backstage hand,
Yeah, not a wrestler.
it's nuts.
I gotta
I
ask
have-
again
I-
now.
Never, in my years of watching wrestling, reading the dirt sheets, I have never heard an issue with Edge other than the Matt Hardy thing. Other than that, I've never heard an issue about Edge. I've always heard great backstage, great guy, willing to help in hand, all that stuff. And now you're getting it from the AEW locker room that he's an
I
issue.
wonder if it's a certain faction of people. Like, I would want to know who it is before I
Yeah.
start indicting the entire locker room.
And then you had the Acclaimed talking about when Bully Ray comes to the AEW locker room, he's got apologies to give out before he can step foot in there. Hold on a
It's
second.
always hard for me to be sure if they're serious when they're talking about certain things, because half of what Max Caster says is always tongue in cheek.
Right.
Anthony Bowens, he deadpans a lot of stuff too. So I'm never quite sure if they're working an angle or something.
But Bully didn't take too well to it on his podcast. He brought that up a few weeks back, and
Well, speaking of
Yeah.
Bully Ray, nice segue.
hey,
On his in rendition of Busted Open Radio, he claims that WWE had no clue what they were doing with the WrestleMania 40 kickoff show. And his theory is they still don't know what they're doing over there. They still cannot read the landscape yet. They think they have a good read on the landscape, but not 100%. They're not even close to 100%. I don't know how you could be close to 100% after the press conference. Nothing went the way they thought it was going to go.
hold on. Was that not the most viewed piece of WWE content the last 2 years?
And I
Did it
mean,
sell out? Like, I
would
don't.
you be a moron not to know that people were going to be pissed if Cody got bumped out of WrestleMania?
100%.
I mean, how would they not know that? I mean, I don't
Basically-
understand that statement. That's not.
I feel like he's selling them a little short there.
I think maybe he doesn't know.
Yeah. I think he's not reading the room the right way.
The only thing I agree with him is I kind of feel like this has diminished Seth Rollins because he comes off as like Cody's sidekick instead of as a world champion. I'd be like, hey, you don't want to wrestle me? I'll fight the next guy.
Right.
You know, I don't know why he feels like he has to get involved in this. You know what I mean? It's not his fight. So
That's true.
I have a little problem with the way Seth Rollins is acting. He's not a visionary. Like, he's not doing what he does.
Is it time for him to take a break?
Well, I mean, I think he's going to. I think he's going to lose at WrestleMania,
yeah.
and I think he's going to take off for a while.
I think it's the perfect time for it, and to bring him back with a bit of a different character.
I feel like not having that Punk feud hurt him because he was starting to move in that direction. I was really starting to see that edge to him, and it was nice. And I mean, I'm sure by the summer, he'll be back and a bitter, angry Seth. I like that.
That SummerSlam feud is going to be great when they pull that off. It's gonna kill. So I wanted to bring this up because we talked about it, me and Big E, on the OTBS podcast. He brought this up. The Rock becoming the new Vince McMahon heel corporate figure. The way Austin had McMahon in the late 90s, he has a feeling that The Rock is heading that way now.
Daniel Bryan's sitting on the top of the cage, waiting, letting Kofi and Samoa. I love it.
Just hanging out. Like, yeah.
You guys fight. Go ahead. I got a good seat. Can I say
good little things going on in this match?
Can I say the most overused trope in wrestling is the evil authority figure? I absolutely despise it. I wish there was a 20-year moratorium on it.
Yeah, it gets recycled every 5 to 10 years, if that.
Well, if it's not in WWE, it's somewhere else. Like, it's just overused. And the one I hated the most was Stephanie McMahon. When you have a female, what can a man do to her?
Take their hands on them. Yeah.
She was so good at it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
except for White Beater Stone Cold, of course.
When she comes in the ring and like starts hitting guys and stuff, what are they supposed to do about it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no comeuppance. There's at least when you have a man, you can, like, Vince McMahon would get his ass whipped. Finally,
I feel like she got some comeuppance later. Like, it would be other women who got their hands on her. Like, Ronda Rousey got her hands on her. Vicky Guerrero got her hands on her. Like, but it would only be in those types of matches. Who was it? When they were doing that whole 2-man power trip thing, and she was the women's champion. Was it? Yeah, and she was women's champion at the time. And I feel like maybe it was Lita, maybe it was
Trish?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think it was Lita at the time who got her hands on her and that kind of thing. But it was never going to be to that level of a Vince because, to your point, you aren't going to get that amount of physicality, especially back then, not in the main event. That being said, WWE does not need to do an evil authority figure for a good long while. I'd like to see the Young Bucks figure out how to do this and be those asshole EVPs. I think they could pull that off if they really work at it. So there's potential with that there, because it to me is a different dynamic of just power hungry wrestlers suddenly getting in a position of authority. That's an interesting story to me. But WWE does not need a Vince type.
Right.
They need to be as far away from that as possible. They could do a clueless Rock, one who's so positive that he's doing all the right stuff, that he's pissing everybody off in the locker room.
Yeah.
See, but Adam Pearce, he's not clueless in it. He's like, look, you guys are making my lives hell. He doesn't have the same authority level to his voice as like Nick Aldis, who came in right away and verbally slapped Roman Reigns in the mouth. just to assert his authority there. But Adam Pearce, I like him as an authority figure. He's like a working man, the blue collar work executive, so to speak.
Right.
But yeah, I just no, we don't need an evil CEO. Just not give it like 5 years at least.
Right. But it looks like that may be the way they're heading with Rock.
It's a mistake.
I just don't think they need it either. They have enough going on. I like the GMs and I like the executives just being people who are only there to put the wrestlers in a position to do something, in a position to fight. I'm going to make this match for you. I'm going to give you this opportunity, whatever. I'm going to set things straight. I liked what Triple H was doing. And there is that possibility you'll get a power struggle with Rock and Triple H. But even then, how much of a power struggle can you have? One guy's on the board, another guy's an executive.
Right.
That could be interesting. And Triple H ain't going to fight. He's done.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's to me, it's cheap. It's cheap heat, and they don't need to do it.
What do you guys think? I'm seeing Styles and Danielson in the ring and Kofi.
Who's Danielson?
Like,
there's a guy in here named
Excuse
Daniel
me.
Bryan.
Daniel
that is the
Bryan.
new
Danielson,
Daniel
dude.
Bryan.
What match are you watching?
Man of many names. You know,
I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about.
You get
That's the leader of the Yes movement.
Right. True.
There's
true.
some guy in AEW who looks like him, but he has a different name.
Are they related? Do you
I would
think
love to see them fight. I would love to see Daniel Bryan and Bryan Danielson fight.
that would be one great program right there? That would program of the year right there.
A clinic.
Right.
And
That's too much.
It would be.
So your point was, now that I've distracted you.
So now that you've distracted me, do you feel like we didn't get a long enough feud between Danielson and Styles? Was it injuries that caused us not to get it? With Danielson being out for so long?
yeah, I think so.
I don't know. Their path in WWE was kind of all over the place. They were injured at different points, and they were on different shows at different points. So it's hard to say. I would love to see them fight now. Like, I would love to see AJ Styles in AEW, honestly. There's a whole bunch of fresh matchups he could have over there that I would really love to see.
I think he's retiring. I mean, same thing Edges.
I think he's retiring. I think this is his last contract for what he says.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think so too.
Good for him if he does that. Cause
yeah, I mean, he wants to retire.
Rare
Like,
you see a wrestler go out at that level like that. That would be amazing. I do think we did get a really good match between them. I think it was the Intercontinental Championship final match. They had that tournament.
I remember that.
I feel like if that were the only time we saw them in the ring together, it would have been amazing enough. I mean, we got other matches, but
phenomenal. Some might say. Some might say phenomenal.
Oh, phenomenal indeed.
Or iconic.
Funny you say iconic.
They were on the show.
They were, because they crowned the inaugural women's tag team champions.
The cursed title.
We know how the Encyclopedia cried when they were released.
He did. He was
phenomenal forearm.
I just want to enjoy. I enjoy that. I feel like I legitimately enjoy everybody in this match. I really do, and everybody in there knows their part. And
it was a good grouping. This chamber, everybody meshed well together.
There was the what if about Mustafa Ali.
He was never getting a push
in that way. I mean, he might have, at the time, it just so happened he just ended up in the match. But then with Kofi taking his place, you got this other run that nobody would have thought was possible for him that ended at the hands of Brock Lesnar. But leading up to that, he generated some real love from the crowd.
It's true.
I'd like to say New York is an interesting place. And as long as I've lived here, I'll never get over the fact that people can stand outside your window and just scream at random nobody as if they own the block.
So you're saying New York
Them.
City is like being at a wrestling show?
Almost.
Sometimes you get a free show just right outside your window.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
But everybody's trying to get heat.
Some of these shows.
So Jason, when we're done with this, you're gonna go outside and yell and scream?
I mean, if the guy out there has a title to defend, then yeah, I'll go out there and I'll face him, take his title, and I'll kick him off the block because that's what you have to do.
So is that it?
But
the title? Is it the champion of the block?
I don't know. I don't know what he's defending out there. I don't know what any of these folks are doing out there. Probably some 24/7 loudmouth championship, which I wouldn't mind either.
Just make sure you think DX. All right. That was.
Oh man,
R-Truth has been killing it. He's crushing it right now. Like this guy, his backstage segments. Whenever you put a mic in front of him, crushing it. Hats off to R-Truth right now.
You know what? The only thing I'll say about that is they're risking overexposing him.
I could see that.
They gotta take it easy because like he's funny, but like
Judgment Day thing.
Right, but he's funny, but like they gotta, you know what I mean? You can't go to the well so many times.
Yeah.
And again, if they were selling shirts, and I mean, when you're making money off of it, you know, that's the thing in wrestling. When they're making money off of something, they're gonna ride it until the wheels fall off. I mean, we haven't seen him in that position in a long time. Good for him.
Ouch.
Also, what the hell? He can still wrestle like that at 52.
God damn, that was a move at the top.
Goodbye, Jeff Hardy.
Yeah. That was a spot. That was a nice spot.
Yeah, it was.
Hey, look, he hit him with a knee in the face and didn't break his nose.
Huh. Shocker. It can be done.
Call Sammy.
You know what's funny? If Sammy wanted to learn how to do that, there's a guy who looks just like this. Looks just like Daniel Bryan. There's a guy over there in that company who could teach him.
There's a guy that looks just like Jeff Hardy over there as well.
Well, not
there
anymore.
is. Unfortunately, he's a bit indisposed.
Yeah,
he looks like Jeff Hardy with a broken nose.
Right. So you're saying he looks like Owen Wilson?
Maybe.
It's possible.
Wow. An apt comparison.
I'm not just a pretty face, Jason. I'm not just a pretty face. I've got the brains too.
What was the whole peacock thing there you just did?
He did.
Right? He was like,
I did.
He did. There was a little strut there. I didn't know one could strut while seated.
All right. You got to let it loose.
He was getting ready to do his Ric Flair.
Yeah. Woo!
And Randy Orton's just
where's
licking his chops. What's that?
Where's Mike Chioda now?
He's
retired,
not retired. I don't think he's fully retired. But
do a podcast?
I think he does. And he did do a pretty good interview with Van Vliet a couple months ago. Actually, not pretty good. It was a really good interview. We learned a lot about what those guys are doing, what those refs are supposed to be doing in the ring. And yeah. He said he could
back?
You another.
Do you think they bring him back now that the Vince era is over?
I wonder. We're still going to hear so many stories.
There's going to be
a lot of returns because of this.
Yeah. Orton looks a lot smaller there than he does now.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, he did have to bulk up after that surgery. Otherwise, he couldn't. I don't think he'd be able to wrestle anymore if he didn't.
Hey, that married life treats you good, man.
Yeah, man.
You know, eating a lot of meat and fish and.
All right. Well,
getting your vitamins. And vitamins, of course.
Oh,
regular vitamins, multivitamins.
That was wicked.
is he still going through that lawsuit with the tattoo artist? Or did they settle that?
I have no idea.
It probably got settled.
Wow.
Oh,
what was that? The one about with the video game or something?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's been a hard-hitting match.
Yeah, it has.
A lot of tough spots, and yet no one injured.
Yeah.
Sammy. I mean, Freddie.
It's crazy. It's quite nice to see. So you're saying it's not these gentlemen that have gone to said other company.
Uh-oh.
It's the other people in the other
That
company.
was wicked.
Could be.
That was nice.
Yeah.
That's a kind of shot that like you roll out of the ring and you go to Randy Orton. All right, that was cool.
Yeah.
I'm really not happy losing, but you know, hey, that was cool.
Or in the back, you say that went perfect.
Best RKO.
Thank you for
RKO?
RKOing and not breaking my nose.
Yeah.
Sammy, I mean Randy.
It's just the best.
Also, thanks for hitting me with the RKO and not making it a transition move.
Right. And hitting it 17 times throughout the match.
Yeah, and Randy Orton goes in AJ Styles. Thanks for not kicking out.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks for treating my finisher like it is a finisher.
Like a finisher. Surprise, surprise. But yeah, what's your guys' best RKO?
Evan Bourne.
Ooh, the Evan Bourne. It's good.
Might have to be.
Mine has to be the Rollins one from Mania.
Also great.
Where he shot him up and then caught him midair. That was a classic one.
The only reason why I don't count that one is I seen Diamond Dallas Page do that.
Really?
Yeah, he did it on a. Actually, I'll tell you a quick story. Diamond Dallas Page got that from the Dudley Boys. He saw them do it in a house show, I think, and then on a Saturday night, a WCW Saturday night, Diamond Dallas Page. I don't remember who the preliminary guy was, but he caught him, threw him in the air, hit him with the diamond cutter, and then as he was pinning him, he went, "Thanks, Bubba Ray," into the camera.
Oh, nice.
So I've seen that before. I mean, that's not cool. It's just I've seen that before. The Evan Bourne one I had never seen before.
Yeah,
that's
Evan,
the first time that he was coming out of nowhere, and so.
I do want to say though, maybe some of my favorites ever were the ones he hit on Rob Van Dam back in the day, because RVD just looked like he'd gotten broken every time he took that move. Like his body would go one way and his neck would go another. And I think even in an interview back then, Orton said something about, yeah, the guy's just made of cartilage. He makes everything look like the worst possible injury ever.
Yeah. But that's what you want. You want your
Yeah.
guy to sell the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, the way The Rock used to take the Stone Cold Stunner,
Stunner.
where he'd like land on his hands and fly to the. I'm like, come on, dude. Not so much. Or like what Scott Hall used to take. Remember, he'd go straight down and he'd fly straight up in the air and fall backwards. I'm like,
yeah.
Come on, dude. Kofi Mania running wild.
That's it. Kofiing up.
He's hitting himself so hard he caved his chest in.
I think Life did that.
I think he's on record as blaming the Big Show. And in interviews, he said, I used to have a chest, and then the Big Show gave me a receipt, and now I have none.
He and Chris Jericho should have a match, and the winner should have to do push-ups.
Oh, jeez. Jeez. Oh, nice little transition.
So when did Kofi win the title? Another 2 years from this match around?
No, 2 months.
So he was right on the cusp.
Yeah, Kofi Mania. This was literally his run.
Okay, I couldn't remember exactly when it was. So he beat.
Yeah. Well, yeah, well, this match happens, and then he has to fight to get that chance at Bryan again, because I can't remember who was in the main event, but someone else won the Royal Rumble, and they had a series of matches and him basically getting every brass ring, and then they had the tag team gauntlet match, but it was Woods and Big E who had to go through it on SmackDown. And that's the one famously where the Usos just said, hey, we've done this before. Good luck. And walked out of the ring. And yeah. Because I think in the lead up every week, McMahon would give him another task to do. And then he's like, nah, I'm not still not.
You're right. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
I mean, he just pinned Randy Orton. Right? Yep. So, I mean, he was on a roll.
And the week before this, to decide the order, he pinned Daniel Bryan.
And now he's the last guy here?
Yep.
Damn, I feel like that looked a lot cooler in their heads when they planned it out.
Oh, that stomp?
Yeah.
That's a hard move, man. I feel like nobody who weighs over $180 could do that move without seriously worrying about killing or maiming their opponent.
Or destroying your knees in the process.
Yeah.
And the fans were so behind Kofi at this point.
They were. I still remember that Raw after WrestleMania. And I think I didn't think that it was really that serious. The crowd was really that serious about him. And I'm still mad about that main event being screwed up. But like when he came out at the beginning of the show, I mean, they were all about Kofi.
Yeah.
So you're right. He had to fight a handicap match against the Bar.
Yep.
And he lost. Then Mr. McMahon told him he had to beat Sheamus, Cesaro, Roman, Samoa Joe, and Randy Orton.
Mm-hmm.
And after he beat all 5 of them, he put Bryan in the match, who beat him. And then McMahon announced a gauntlet match for Big E and Xavier Woods, who were able to beat 5 other teams, including Bryan and Rowan, to give Kingston his championship match. And then he beat him at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, then that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he had that run. Okay thing with Kevin Owens. Okay feud. The only feud that had any real history behind it was the one with Randy Orton. And that was okay. I think did he have a match with Samoa Joe also?
Yes, he defended against Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, Samoa Joe.
Oh, it should have been me.
Randy Orton.
Yep.
And then Brock Lesnar came out, and we know how that ended. 8 seconds later.
Disrespectful fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Well, you know what?
What goes
The
around?
most.
Never mind.
Yeah. Well,
Never mind the racial undertones that you could extract from that. Why do all that kind of build?
yeah.
And then just have him get squashed? Like have him. You know what kind of made man he'd be? Not that he's not a made man as it is. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, all that. But imagine him holding his own against Brock Lesnar. If you're gonna have Brock Lesnar win, how about let them go 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Right.
And let Brock
come
beat
on.
the shit out of him, but let Kofi keep coming back and coming back and coming back. And then finally, like that last F5 puts him out. And like have Brock win, but have Brock looking at him like, I don't know how the hell you did that.
Right.
Like almost give him that like nod of respect as he leaves the ring. Why squash him? Like what was the point?
Yeah, what do you get out of that?
They loved just taking somebody's brand and throwing it off a cliff sometimes.
You know what it is?
And
Vince
it
McMahon
helped nobody.
Yeah.
It helped nobody.
Vince
It's true.
McMahon didn't like anything he didn't build.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Zack Ryder, right? Zack Ryder made his own way, and then instead they made him look like a fool. Right? Damien Sandow was getting over when he wasn't supposed to. They
Crushed
buried
it.
him too.
Yeah.
That's the problem with Vince. If Vince didn't come up with it, he didn't want to work with it.
Yeah.
Where I think Triple H, in a different world, Triple H would have been like, you know what? Kofi's hot, man. We're going to run with this for a while.
Yeah. Or at least give him a rematch.
Yeah, it's looking like they're starting to build Sammy up again.
Mm-hmm.
They might finally give him the title and let him run with it for a little bit, but
Sammy Guevara?
Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn's never going to be champion.
You don't think so? You don't think they'll?
No.
Damn.
He doesn't have that. He's missing something. He's not physically impressive.
Just 1 sec on that. Daniel Bryan is so good at making things look like they're the most painful submission ever. He's just so good at it.
It's just a rest hold.
Yeah. But he makes it look like, oh no, I'm really going to tear this guy.
Well, that wasn't a rest hold. He was grabbing him by his nose.
Yeah.
I don't know what rest you're getting if someone's pulling up on your nose, Freddie.
A rest from breathing.
If you look at it, he's not really twerking it back.
A rest from life?
Yeah, these guys are giving it to each other. Pause.
And this is a better match than I remember.
Yeah.
Most overused chant I've ever heard. Not everything can be awesome, guys. Not everything can be awesome.
What do you mean? That's like...
We want to create a moment. We want to create a moment. You can't create a moment. It either is there or it isn't.
Yeah. It's
but I mean, this... If you're ever going to call an audible, this might have been the time. Right? Because, I mean, the fans are going crazy. You know, people actually think Kofi has a chance.
Yeah, it was just the wrong guy sitting in that front seat.
Well, I mean, they eventually pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
But then they just decided to
destroy it. Implode it. Yeah.
For whatever reason. Like, I'm curious, do you think AEW pulls the cord and lets Swerve win the title? Jason, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Jay. We'll come back to Jay once he's once he figures out his technical difficulties, as you guys can see it going on in the back. But
See, the one thing I don't like about having these video calls is now I can't make up like, oh, Jason's giving me the finger right now because everyone will see it.
Yeah,
And no,
yeah.
it's not.
Exactly.
The theater of the mind is gone.
Right. So we hope to get the good Reverend back. It looks like
He's praying right now.
Yeah.
The Lord will fix it for him.
But yeah, we've got these two working it out up on top of the pod. I feel like this one they use the pods more than years past.
Yeah. This was a good choice, Freddie.
Yeah.
This was a good one. I forgot how good this match was.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I was looking at the
when you
list.
picked 19 or 21, I'm like, what are so special about those two? I can't remember.
Yeah, I just saw some of the participants, and that's what made me throw it out. I was like, oh, okay. Guys, I didn't remember the matches as vividly as others.
Mm.
It's like, oh, I feel like these guys put on a good show. And they did not disappoint.
Good night, Kofi.
Yeah.
Man, that knee looks devastating.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal. But yeah, that is it. Winner and still champion, Daniel Bryan.
That guy looks like he's gonna cry.
Right?
Did you see that? He was like,
oh, he is so heartbroken, putting his hands on his face. Well, it looks like the Reverend is still out. So it's the two-man show to wrap this one up. Rob, any last closing remarks before we send this one home for the evening?
oh, wait a minute. There he
Reverend's
is.
back.
I don't
There he
know.
is.
Ben?
You're all good.
Yeah.
We got you. But yeah, the match just finished up, Jay.
It did.
Uh,
To
Any
watch.
final thoughts before we send this episode home for the evening?
Yeah, this set in motion one of my personal favorite storylines, so I was glad to see it. Hell of a match. Everybody in that ring knew what they were doing.
Right.
For much more in a main event.
Yeah, I was giving Freddie kudos for picking this match because I didn't remember how good it was.
Yeah.
And it turns out it was a really good watch. So nice job there, Loso.
Thank you.
All right. I'm ready to wrap if you are.
All right. And with that being said, that is our episode for this evening. The Sports Frenzy Pod on Twitter, The Sports Frenzy Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Go like, subscribe, find an episode, comment, let us know what you guys think, and we will catch you next week. Peace.